Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's tutorial is for a beanie hat. The one that I'm making today is to fit an adult. I'm going to make it in a size that would fit an average man's head. I'm using two different hooks because we start with the band, and I want the band to be stretchy enough so that it's got a little bit of give, and then we move on to a 7mm, and I'm using 2 strands of double knit yarn. We start off with a chain of 7, so we slip knot onto the hook the way that you normally would work a slip knot, and then we work chain of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So into the second chain from the hook I'm going to work a single crochet, so it's into the loop, yarn over and pull through both. We're going to go into the next loop and work a single crochet into that one as well, into the next one, and the next. So we've now got the chain 2 at the beginning, it counts as the first stitch, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to work a single into the very last chain. So your work will look like this. I'm going to work into just the front loop of each of the stitches, and the first stitch of every row, each row is going to be exactly the same, is just a chain, and then flip over. We're going to work into just this front loop of the stitch and work a single crochet, and then 1 into each of the next 3, again just working into the front loop, and then the final stitch is going to go into the last stitch here, which was the chain from the start row. So just into the stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over and pull through both. Flip over again and work a chain, and then again into the front loop, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then don't forget the last stitch is going to go into the first stitch from the previous row. Flip over and again start with a chain 1, and then work the 4 singles into the front loops, 1, 2, 3 and 4. The final stitch is going to go into the body of that first stitch from the previous row, and you can see already that we're getting a ribbed effect by working into the front loop only. I'll do another couple more rows just so that you get the gist of the pattern. So we've chained 1 and we're now going to work the 4 singles, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then the final stitch again is into the actual stitch from the previous row, and that gives a nice straight edge on each side of the band. So chain 1, and then again we're going to work the 4 front loop singles, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then the last stitch again will be into the stitch from the previous row. Just push the hook in, pick up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, chain 1, and then again front loop singles, 1, 2, oops. Make sure that you catch both of the strands of yarn if you're using the 2 strands of double knit. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then again the final stitch is going to go into the first stitch from the previous row. So your work will look like this, forming the ridges that give a ribbed effect. So you need to carry on now working exactly the same until your band is the size that you're going to need it to go around the head. I'm going to make mine to 22 inches, and I'll meet you when I get to the end of the 22 inch. So when you've got your band to the size that you need it, we need to have done an even number of rows, because we're going to work 2 doubles onto the edge of the band. So I've just got a smaller swatch here just to show how to join the band together. So this is only a small piece, but obviously yours is going to be much bigger. We then fold the work, and we're going to just slip stitch join the band together. So we've got the loop on the hook, and I'm going to go into the loop of the other side, pull the yarn through both loops on the hook, and then go into the loop, pick up a loop from the other side, yarn over, pull through all of the loops. And we just do that all the way along. It's 3, 4, 5, and then the last one into that first stitch into the top and pick up the loop. And then we're going to turn inside out. As you can see, we've got the ridge here and also the stitch here, because each alternate row created a ridge. So we need to slip stitch into the first stitch like so, and then the first stitch of the new row is going to be 3 chain, and that's going to count as the first double. And then we're going to work into the ridged stitch and work a double, and then into the next stitch and work a double. We're just going to do that all the way around, working 1. I'm also catching the yarn under the stitches as I'm working them as well. So we've in effect got a stitch in between the ridges and a stitch where the ridge goes as well on the band. So there's the one in between. Oops. And then one into where the ridge sits. We're just going to do that all the way around, and you'll have an equal number of stitches when you get round to the other side. So I'll leave you to carry on working the 2 doubles over each of the 2 rows all the way around, and you'll end up with an even number of stitches. Once you get around to the other side, we join. I'll just undo that last stitch so that I can show you the join. We're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of the 3 chain that we started the row with. So we've now got our doubles that go all the way around, working one into each row that we did for the band. So one into the ridged row and one in between the 2 ridges. So we're now going to change over to the 7mm hook. We started off with an 8, and that's so that the band has actually got quite a bit of stretch to it. So we're now going to start on the body of the hat. So the first row is going to be 3 chain, and again that counts as the first double. The second stitch is a front post double. So if you're not familiar with that stitch, I'll show you how it's done. Yarn over into the space between the stitches, come back up behind the double from the previous row and pick up a loop. Yarn over through 2 and yarn over through 2, and that's going to create a ridge that's going to go all the way up the hat. The next stitch is going to be a straightforward double, and then the next stitch again is going to be a front post double that goes around the front of the double from the previous row. We're going to do that all the way around, working a standard double and then a front post double, a standard double followed by the front post double. Be careful once you've done the normal double not to do the front post around the same stitch. So double and then the front post double. Double, front post double. This is why we need an equal number, an even number of stitches, because we want it to work as an alternate stitch, that we've got the normal double followed by the front post double. Oops. And again, make sure that you catch both loops if you're working with 2 strands. This pattern would work with a regular chunky yarn. If you don't want to use the 2 strands of double, you would just use the same hook size, and the size will come out the same as well. And when the hat's finished, it's quite a warm hat, and the chunky yarn does help, or the double knit does help to show the ridges quite well. So normal and the front post, a double followed by a front post double. You just carry on all the way around until we get to the start here, where we're going to just slip stitch into that third chain. I will just count my stitches when I get to the end. I believe it was 56, but I'll just count them just to be absolutely sure, to give you an idea of how many stitches or how many rows you would need to do on the band. But you can make this slightly bigger, slightly smaller to fit whoever you're making the hat for, as we don't always come with standard size heads. And the band does need to stretch slightly, so whatever the measurement you get for the head, you would need to just make sure that when you've completed the band that there is a little bit of a stretch to it as well. And then if we've counted right, we should have the front post double followed by a double, and then the last stitch before the 3 chain will be the front post. So I will just count those. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50. Sorry, it was 52. So I've got 52 stitches on this particular hat. We're now going to join with a slip stitch into the top of the 3 chain, and we're ready to start the next row. So the first stitch again is going to be the 3 chain, which counts as the first double, and you can see that the next stitch is going to be the front post stitch. So it's a front post stitch, a front post double around the front post from the previous row, and then we're going to do a double into the double. And we're just going to carry on the same way all the way around, working the alternate stitches, a front post double followed by a double, and we're just working the same stitch into the previous row. So if we've got a front post, we do the front post double. If it's a normal double, again we're just going to work the normal double. Just carry on all the way around. So each row is going to be exactly the same, working alternate stitches. So if you want to carry on working exactly the same, each row starts with the 3 chain. The first stitch after the 3 chain is going to be a front post double followed by a double, front post double, double, front post double, and so on. And we always join at the end into the top of the 3 chain here and start again with the next row, which is going to be 3 chain. I've now completed 6 rows of the pattern row. I'm just going to join into the 3 chain starting stitch with the slip stitch. I just want to make a point here that if you want your hat to have a turn up brim, to have that effect on the hat, you would need to do a further 4 rows at this point. I'm just going to do it as a pull-on beanie, so I will stop at the 6 rows of the pattern. To start the decrease, we're now going to work 2 stitches together as we go around the hat. So instead of doing the 3 chain to start, we're only going to work 2 chain and then we're going to go straight in to the front post double and work half of the front post double. So we've yarn over, we've gone behind the loop, we've picked up a loop, we've got 4 loops on the hook. We're going to go through 2, and then we're going to go through the 2 together. So we've actually joined the chain stitch and the first double crochet, the front post double crochet. So the next row we're going to do half of the double, which is yarn over, pull through once. We're not going to yarn over and pull through again. We're going to go straight to the front post double, pick up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. We've now got 3 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So we've now worked the next 2 stitches together. Going to do exactly the same all the way around. So into the stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over, but we're only going to pull through 2. We go straight onto the front post double, where we go round the back, pick up a loop, yarn over and just pull through 2. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So into the stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over, do the front post double, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, and then we're going to yarn over through the 3. And we're going to carry on working the same all the way around, working the 2 stitches together. Working the 2 stitches together all the way around, I've just come to the last 2 stitches here, where again into the loop, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over and behind the stitch for the front post, yarn over through 2, and then yarn over through the 3. We're going to join now into the top of the joined stitches that we did at the beginning of the row. So we're just going to slip stitch here. We're now going to slip stitch around the front post of this front post stitch here, and we're going to work again 2 chain. We're now going to go straight over to the front post stitch from the previous row and pick up the stitch, yarn over through 2 and yarn over through 2. That starts the next working the 2 stitches together. So once you've done the first one with the chain 2, we're now going to go to the next front post stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over and through 2 stitches. We're going to yarn over into the next front post stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over and through 2 stitches. We've got 3 stitches on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So we're now doing the front post double crochet 2 together. We're going to do that all the way around. So we're skipping the double from the previous row. We're going to the back of the first front post and just doing the half of the stitch, yarn over into the next front post, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, leaving 3 stitches on the hook again. We're going to pull through all 3. So yarn over into the next front post, pick up a loop, yarn over through just 2, yarn over into the next front post stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, leaving the 3 again on the hook, yarn over and through all 3 together. So just carry on all the way around doing exactly the same, working a front post double 2 together until we get to the end of this row. We reach the end of the row and we've worked the front post 2 togethers all the way around. You'll see that they've formed into little upside down V shapes, and we're going to join with a slip stitch into the first stitch. On this next row, we can see now that we've got little upside down V's where we've crocheted each of the 2 stitches together. On this first one, we're just going to work 2 chain. That's going to count as the first front post half double, and then we're going to go across and go behind the 2 stitches that we worked together here. So your yarn needs to go behind both. Pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, and then yarn over through 2. Then we're going to work these next 2 double crochet together. We're going to crochet those together as well. So yarn over behind the 2, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over behind the 2 stitches, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2. We've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. I'm going to carry on all the way around working the next 2 double crochet togethers. We're going to crochet those together. So yarn over through 2 to the next 2 together behind both stitches, yarn over through 2, and then yarn over and pull through the 3 loops. You're actually working with a much smaller space now, so it's a little bit trickier than before. So behind the 2 stitches, pick up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over behind the 2 stitches, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3, yarn over behind the 2 stitches, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over behind the stitches, yarn over through 2, and then pull through all 3, yarn over behind the 2 stitches, pick up a loop through 2, yarn over behind the 2 stitches, pick up a loop through 2, and then yarn over and through 3. Yarn over behind the 2 stitches, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, and then the final one we're going to go yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over and pull through all 3. So we've now come to the top of the hat. I'm going to join with a slip stitch into the first stitch that we formed, pull the loop through, leave a longer thread of yarn and snip off, pull through the loop and pull tight. We've now got a little hole here at the top of the hat, and what I would do is to put that through to the wrong side, turn the hat inside out, and then just catch with a needle, just using a normal yarn needle, just thread through, and where you can see we've got the hole here, just go around and catch 2 loops of each stitch, and then again over the first one and pull tight, and that's actually pulled the hat in so that we've not got a hole. And then I'll just work in the yarn so that we don't come undone. I usually work it one way and then I'll take it back the other way to be sure that it doesn't come unravelled before I snip off and fasten off the yarn. I always then do an extra stitch, pull the yarn through and fasten off again. So there we've got the hats all closed off at the top, and we've got the hat there completed. If you want your hat to be a little bit deeper, you can do more than the 6 rows from the band. That's not including the first row that we did that were just normal double crochets. I did 6 rows of the pattern repeat, but you could do 7 or 8 if you wanted the hat to be a deeper hat. I do hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.